What's up, YouTube? Hey, C494 here, and I want to talk to you very briefly, I'm probably lying because I'm long-winded, about shooting moving targets. So, as you saw in the video, hopefully, because you subscribed to my channel, you saw that me and Ashton were shooting at a 10-inch balloon at 300 yards at Todd Resource Management. Todd Resource Management is one of my sponsors, and they're awesome, and you should totally give them some business. They're out in Chesterfield, South Carolina. Anyway, so we were shooting at a target at 300 yards. It was a 10-inch balloon suspended from a drone, and we were shooting at it. It was moving 5 miles an hour because, you know, you can adjust your speed on the drone and you know, shit like that. So that's what we were doing yesterday. And there are two ways to account for or to shoot a moving target, and that's tracking and trapping. So Ashton is really good at trapping targets. He'll hold his reticle right here and then let the target come to where it needs to, break the shot where he needs to break it, and then let the target go into his point of aim, which is subsequently also going to be his point of impact. So he gives, that's what he does for his, that's trapping. I am a tracker. I like tracking targets. So I will give the target the lead that I need to and follow that target until I get it perfect, and then I'll rip off the shot, you know, whenever it is lined up right for that moving target and all that. So yesterday what I tried to do was I tried to trap the target. The first two shots I tried to trap it because we had a really narrow target presentation. So the target would present itself and then it would disappear again because there's woods on both sides on that range. So I said it doesn't make sense to try to track this target because it presents itself for such a narrow amount of time. So I tried trapping the target. It did not work for me because I'm just bad at it. It's one of my downfalls. I'm just bad at trapping targets. But tracking targets I am good at. So the third time I shot at it, I just said, fuck it, I'm going to do it my way. And I tracked the target, popped it, you know, and it was awesome. Yay, we had a big high-five fest over here at the range. But anyway, so that's tracking and trapping. Figure out which one works for you if you have access to moving targets. I mean, like I said, some people can do both probably, but I know it works for me, and I shouldn't have strayed from that, but I did yesterday, and it caused me to miss. It happens. So anyway, now, everybody has these awesome, you know, ballistic calculators in their cell phones, and they bring, you know, Kestrels and all this other stuff. So everybody's got all this, you know, cool guy information that they carry on their person all the time, and that's phenomenal. That's great that you have that, you know, information at your fingertips or whatever. So whenever we had a 5 mile an hour moving target, we knew it was moving 5 miles an hour because, you know, we were controlling the speed. And so whenever Ashton was shooting at this thing, all he had to do was go to his little ballistic app and punch in some numbers for a 5 mile an hour moving target and found out what our hold was, 2.7. He found out what our hold was just because he punched in some numbers. Like, we didn't even see the target yet. So that's what we were going off of, was 2.7. And then I was explaining to Ashton the way that I've always gotten my numbers in the past, which I didn't even know that you could use a ballistic calculator to figure out your leads like that. Because mine just basically tell me, you know, like wind and bullet drop kind of stuff, and then, you know, firing angle. We'll talk about that in another video. Angle of fire. So I told Ashton, I was like, well, the way that I've always done it is this. And he was like, huh. And I guess it's just kind of one of those things. It's like if nobody's ever just said it, then it doesn't really make sense to you. So I'm going to say it right now. This is the way that I do it and have always done it before. So I'll look at a target through my scope with my reticle, and I will see how fast it's moving in 1 second. So for 1 second, it might cover, you know, it'll cover X amount of mils. So then I'll take that and I will multiply that many mils times my time in flight, and that will equal your lead. So, for example, yesterday, the target was moving about 8 mils per second. And I even tested Ashton on this. He got the same number, 8 mils a second. It was actually 8.15. Close enough at that distance. So, 8 mils a second. And then you multiply that times your time of flight, which is 0.336 for that gun. He's using a velocity of 2,915 or 2,911 feet per second, shooting 130 grain RDF that has a ballistic coefficient G1 of 0.615. So anyway, so these are the numbers that we're working with. So you would multiply your 8 times 0.336, and that spits out, I think, a 2.677 or some shit like that. And that rounds up to 2.7. So you would give it a 2.7 and you would send off the shot. And I told him that, and he was like, it's not something that people think of, sane people don't think about shit like that. So anyway, all right, so that was your target lead for, a moving target at that distance, and that's the way that I've always done it. Is you take your target speed in mils and you multiply that by your time of flight, and that is what your lead in mils needs to be. Do I need to explain that further? I think y'all can math. I believe in you guys. Anyway, now we'll use the real numbers. His bullet was actually, it was 2.7 was still the number it spit out. It was a 8.15, and that pushed out like a 2.73 or something like that, which still equals 2.7. So it's close enough, whenever you do it that way. If you really need to see it written out, I did it. I did it on a napkin while I was at my mom's house because I was going crazy, I guess. All right, so we'll do it in miles per hour to in yards per second. So if something was going 5 miles an hour, that's 2.445 yards per second. And then you would multiply that by 36 because there's 36 inches in a yard. And then you would divide that by what 1 mil equals in inches at that distance. So 10.8 is 1 mil at 300 yards. And then that gives you a value of 8.15. And then you would multiply that by your time of flight. So that's the actual math written out. I guess you could have done it instead of doing it in yards per second, you could have done it in inches per second and saved yourself a step there. So it would be miles per hour, how many miles per hour times your inches per second. Yeah. And then you would divide that by 10.8. Yeah, and that would give you the same number. It would save you a step. It was just easier to do that the other way in my head for some reason. But anyway, yeah, so one more time, I'm going to say it. I know I'm already making this video 8 minutes and 15 seconds. So you're going to take your target moving inside of your scope for 1 second. You're going to count it. 1 Mississippi. See how many mils it covers in that amount of time. Multiply that number of mils times your time of flight for that distance. And then whatever number that spits out is how many mils you need to hold for that shot. Hey C494, I hope this video helped you guys.